to Kaiju Battles. Not a very original name, but, can't really think of anything else. But, this is episode 1, and we're going to be doing Shin Godzilla versus Godzilla 2014. Alright. Now, I've taken several things into consideration for this video. I've gone through several different sources on things, plus I've watched both films back to back to get information on both monsters. And here's one thing that is going to be disqualified from this video. The idea of sequels. Yes, we all know that Godzilla 2014 is about to battle King Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan. Shin Godzilla sequel is going to come sometime in the mid-2020s. There's going to be Godzilla vs. Kong. All that is speculative stuff, so that's out. Also, the ending of Shin Godzilla, where we have the tail with all the little H.R. Geiger-like monsters coming out of it, that is out. We don't know what it is, how it's going to affect, what's going to change with Godzilla, so we don't know. It's out. So everything that happened in the film Shin Godzilla and Godzilla 2014 is what is going to be focused on in this fight. Okay? Now, as a caveat though, the film Godzilla 2014 has a tie-in book. It's called Godzilla Awakening. Okay? It takes place about the time when Godzilla 2014 wakes up in around World War II, and when they're trying to nuke him and trying to get rid of him. That is an official tie-in, so that is in. The information from that book, and as far as it concerns Godzilla 2014, is in. Okay? But as far as Shin Godzilla, just what happened in the movie, that's what's going in. Alright, so let's start the discussion, and then we'll get into the fight. Alright, so in the blue corner, standing 335 feet tall and a length of 550 feet, weighing in at 90,000 tons, we have Godzilla 2014. To make it easier, we're going to call him Legendary God, Leggy Goji. Okay, I'm going to say that as shorthand, and when it gets to the fight, we'll call him something else, but Leggy Goji. Okay, so Leggy Goji. Well, in the book, Godzilla Awakening, young Dr. Serizawa, actually a kid, and his father are, dealing with the whole World War II and being part of a U.S. base. Pretty much that's ending, as two new Mutos that have never been seen before have arrived, and they're starting to kill people by the masses. They're not hunting radiation, they're not hunting after, fuel, they're just killing. All this brings up Godzilla 2014, or Leggy Goji, and make a long story short, he kills both of them in the same book. Okay? While at the end of the film, he is nuked by the U.S., however, he survives. Yes, he takes a nuke to the face and survives. Going into the film Godzilla 2014. Now, in that film, we have two other monsters, Mutos. Okay, what are their names? I don't know. There's a female and the male. One flies, one's big and spider-ish looking. Okay, Godzilla 2014 is able to kill them, and all his scenes with Godzilla 2014, Leggy Goji, is very fantastic. Okay, the rest of the movie, couple of little steps I think they should have taken, but as far as I'm concerned, it was an alright film. Okay. So, next up, in the red corner, standing 398 feet tall, at a length of 1,100 feet, weighing at 120,000 tons, Shin Godzilla. Okay, so in the film Shin Godzilla, it's about a professor who finds out that there's nuclear waste, there's some kind of waste at the bottom of the ocean, and something's been feeding on it. Where what happens to him is led to debate. Did he commit suicide? Did his soul come with the monster? He became Shin Godzilla? Don't know, but the monster awakens in its second form, okay, and starts attacking Japan. He then evolves into a third form, about a few minutes into the attack, then leaves. Then he evolves into his fourth form, his final form. Or is it his final form? We don't know. And begins ravaging the city. And they tried dealing with him with troops, aircraft, and rockets. Nothing's working. And every time they try to deal with him, he keeps on evolving. Not only his body, but also his abilities as well. We'll get into his abilities later, but this is a monster that's constantly evolving, constantly looking differently in as far as his abilities are concerned. Okay, at the end of the film, they are able to defeat Shin, but they don't kill him, citing that they're going to have to learn how to live with Shin rather than just trying to destroy him. Leaving the idea that there is going to be a sequel, but what is it? Don't know, so it's out. So, right off the bat, you might think that Shin, well, he's flat out bigger. He's flat out tougher. He can take whatever Leggy Goji has. Not entirely sure. Not entirely true. Actually, there are other Godzilla films and other Kaiju films where the hero is flat out smaller than the villain. Such as Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah is flat out bigger than Godzilla. You should be able to kill him. No, Godzilla defeats King Ghidorah. Now, Mecha King Ghidorah, it's a little toss-up. It's more of a draw. Another movie, Godzilla vs. Destroya, when Godzilla Jr. fought the aggregate form of Destroya. Now, that thing was much bigger, and in my opinion, far more deadlier than Godzilla Jr. However, Godzilla Jr. was able to defeat it. It died later in the film fighting its adult form, but in that fight, in that scenario earlier, Jr. was able to defeat Destroya. Also, I know this is technically a dream sequence. Some say it's canon, but, whatever. Minya defeating Gabara. Now, some say that Gabara is just a jobber, and who cares, but Gabara was considerably larger than Minya, and had considerably stronger powers. Minya was able to use his noodle and defeat Gabara. Now, Godzilla came in and finished off the job when Gabara decided to be a little cheapskate, but, it goes towards, just because something's smaller than the larger thing, doesn't mean that that's going to immediately win. Alright, so, let's go into strengths. Okay, so, representing legendary Goji, his strengths. He is known as the Ancient Alpha Predator. What does that mean? Well, it's thought of not only in the book Godzilla Awakening, but also in the film, that he's probably the oldest living creature on Earth and has been killing Muto since long before the dinosaurs and man ever stepped foot. So, that's a big advantage over his opponent, who was pretty much born in the span of a month and reaches adult form in the span of a month. But we'll get into that later. Okay? He's an intermediate animal, being able to live on land and in the sea as well. So he can survive in both scenarios. Also, being able to absorb nuclear energy and actually survive nuclear attacks pretty much means that he could survive pretty much any situation. So, there's that. Durability. He battled 2 Mutos in the book Godzilla Awakening, and he battled 2 Mutos in the film Godzilla 2014, and was able to defeat them and kill them. Okay? So, while sustaining considerable damage from both. Actually, one film, actually not film, in the book, he's actually lifted off the ground and stabbed multiple times by this one Muto, while in Godzilla 2014, he survived a frontal attack from both monsters and was able to survive. Very weakened by them, but he did survive and kill both monsters. Okay? Stealth. For a monster as big as Legendary Goji is, he's able to move around and he's able to get place to place very quickly, namely at the end of the film when he kills the female Muto. Something that big, something that mass to move, not only move that quickly, but also in water, to sneak up on another monster and then grab it and then kill it, is incredible. Maybe it's a little silly, but for the purposes of the film, the purpose of this fight, it's in. Okay, he has incredible stealth. Now, can he replicate it over and over again? I don't think he can, because if he's like a ninja, pretty much, he'd be able to take out both Mutos easily, but I guess when it really needs to, he can attack in stealth if he really needs to. Okay? Next up, Atomic Breath. Very different than Atomic Breath used in, say, the Showa, Heisei, or Millennium series. This atomic breath is more like napalm. You know, the way how it sprays out and just blasts into its enemy, causing massive burns. And yes, they are burns. This is not a force push weapon. Okay, this is not a beam that pushes an enemy. I've seen a video where someone's trying to argue that, oh, it's not fire at all. It's some kind of nuclear pulse that he's pushing. No. You can see the scorch marks in the female Muto, okay? It's fire. It's burning, okay? There's a burning material in it. There is a property that burns an opponent. It's not a pushing thing, okay? Maybe the force of it pushes an opponent, but it's also a burning ability as well. So, yeah, it's not just a push ability. Okay. Causing massive damage and massive scorch marks and melting spots on his opponents. Also, he has the Kiss of Death. What's the Kiss of Death? He actually grabs his opponent, pulls their mouth open, and then breathes fire directly into their mouth, down the throat, into the belly, causing massive damage and killing the female Muto at the end of Godzilla 2014. A very powerful and very adaptable way to attack his opponent. Okay? Now, besides atomic breath, he's also an expert brawler and grappler as well. This massive experience battling Mutos throughout the centuries has given him the ability to use all of his body to attack, whether it's a tail swipe, you know, the claws, grappling, slamming, lifting, and just this monster is a beast. In the city or around the jungle, wherever he's going to fight, he's a formidable monster. That's pretty much the strengths that I can find for Godzilla 2014 as I saw in the film and in the book. So, let's talk about Shin Godzilla. Okay, so strengths. He has his version of the atomic breath, which actually comes out in this massive fiery blaze, just crossing over, just causing massive damage to the city or whatever he wants to be attacking. But also he has the ability to focus it into a laser and fire it directly up and outward, and this thing goes on for miles. This thing can just wipe out a city in the matter of a few strokes. Okay? Not only does he have his atomic breath and atomic beam, he also has the photon beams that come from his dorsal plates that also are able to reach high up into the sky, which plays into his other ability, enhanced senses. So in the film Shin Godzilla, he was able to destroy several stealth bombers who are bombing him from high in the sky. So the idea of something sneaking up on him would be very unlikely. And later in the film, they actually showed him when he was frozen, things that were trying to get near him, he was able to use his atomic energy to short out things that are getting closer to him as well. So, there's that. Okay. Lastly, he has the atomic beam that comes from his tail. He's able to redirect his abilities not only through his dorsal plates but his mouth, but also it actually comes up through the tail, comes out the tip of the tail, and comes out into a large beam. Able to fire wildly, or he's able to focus it and attack several objects such as flying drones. Also able to destroy large objects like skyscrapers as well. Okay, while also being able to use his atomic breath beam out through his mouth. So many flavors of ranged attacks that he can do. Okay, durability. Throughout the film Shin Godzilla, he takes a little bit of a beating. Now, troops, aircraft, and rockets from ground forces don't really do anything against Shin Godzilla. However, the stealth bombers, let's get back to that, they were using, well, I believe are bunker-busting bombs, causing massive damage. However, moments later, like seconds later, Shin Godzilla is able to react. He's able to shift focus and still keep fighting forward, and then, as we can see, he has pretty much instantaneous regeneration. You can see in the dorsal plates that get blasted off, they regrow pretty much instantly. So, making him very hard to kill. Okay. What else? And lastly, the extra sensibility, so things can't really sneak up on him. Being able to attack things without even looking at them. Especially the stealth bombers with firing things from his back. And actually redirecting the beams as well while being attacked. And attacking the other stealth attacks as well from the flying drones. So, as of right now, it's coming down to who can survive between the two. Can Shin survive Godzilla 2014's strength, or could Shin take out 2014 before he gets anywhere near him? Let's go into the weaknesses. Alright, so for Godzilla 2014, weaknesses. Military fire causes annoyance and distraction. Especially the scene with the Golden Gate Bridge, when Godzilla is just rising up out of the ocean and tanks and troops are shooting at him. I don't see a lot of damage to him. Now, he does moan in pain, but I think it's more of an annoyance, because you don't really see any real damage to him. It's more of, like kind of like a gnat, or like a little bug, picking at you. And you're just like, what is this? Get it away. I don't like it. That's pretty much the way how I interpreted that scene. Plus, later in the film, well, back up. Actually, in the book, he takes a nuke to the face, okay, and survives. So, a little gunfire from tanks and stuff don't really do anything. Okay. Multiple targets can gain the upper hand, okay? Just like in the film Godzilla 2014. See, in the book, he's able to separate the monsters and attack them and defeat them one at a time. In the film, you've got the male Muto and the female Muto attacking him from different angles and pinning him down and actually almost making him reach his demise. If it wasn't for our distraction from Ford Brody over here, then maybe he would have been killed, but it's a movie. Of course he wasn't going to get killed, okay. And it goes along with the weakness, he also has the strength. He's able to adapt and overcome multiple targets. And also attack in multiple different ways rather than just using his body. He's able to use the surroundings around him. So, yeah, moving on. The longer the battle with a kaiju, even or stronger, will leave Godzilla 2014 winded and tired. Yes, in the fight with the female Muto and the male Muto, the fight did drag on, and as Godzilla 2014 was able to defeat the male, you can still see he was very winded and very weakened by his fight with the two of them at the same time. And with that kind of gas tank, if he fights something that's going to be just flat out firing barrage and barrage and barrage abilities at him, will he be able to last Shin Godzilla? Now, all the experience is great until you run into a brick wall, or in this case, a laser wall. We'll have to see. Okay. Lastly, his atomic breath takes about 5 seconds to warm up and fire. Now, originally in the film, when he uses atomic breath to attack the female Muto, it takes about 8 or 9 seconds. Maybe let's just say 10 seconds. Okay. Now, that's the first time I believe he's used it in a long time. Not a lot of Mutos running around nowadays. So, it took him a little bit the first time. Now, the second time when he does the Kiss of Death, his body's more built up a tolerance for the atomic breath, and he's able to disperse it a lot quicker. But that's still 5 seconds. And you can watch the scene, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on 5 is when the breath comes out. Okay? So, it is a little bit of a drawback, especially since we've seen other forms of Godzilla just be able to just open his mouth and immediately breathe fire out. But, it might seem long, 5 seconds, but, just think of the payoff as well. And especially since his adaptability and his durability as well, yeah, that 5 seconds is going to feel like 2 seconds, or maybe even a second when he finally hits it. So, alright, so those are the weaknesses for Godzilla 2014. Now, let's go into the weaknesses for Shin Godzilla. Okay, so, weakness number 1 for him, he's practically a newborn. Okay, newly getting used to his abilities. Okay, so at the beginning of the film, it is said that this monster has been feeding on the atomic waste at the bottom of the ocean. Okay, and then he comes out in his first form. Now, how long did it take him to get into that first form? It might have taken a few days. But then after that, he grows into his second form, probably about 10-15 minutes into his first initial attack. And then stays in that form for probably about, I think it was about a week, maybe 2 weeks. He has stayed in that form before he became his adult form. So even though he's constantly changing, becoming more dangerous, he has to learn and he has to be adapted to his new abilities and his new body as well. That could be a weakness, especially when fighting a monster that has pretty much made a living out of killing rival monsters. So, yeah. Alright, second weakness. No experience battling rival Kaiju. Shin Godzilla has never battled anything resembling him, let alone an ancient alpha predator known as Godzilla 2014, something that made a living out of killing monsters his size and bigger. So, even though he comes to the battle with all these different little fancy attacks, experience could win the day. In fact, if Godzilla 2014 learns to use his stealth ability early on in the fight and gets around all Shin's attacks, he might actually make quick work out of Shin. So, yeah. Alright, so here's a little next part that I'm going to do. I'm going to give them aces. What are aces? These are little special abilities that they have that every monster that's going to be in this series are going to have. These are little special things for them, specifically. So, the ace for Godzilla 2014 is one of the oldest living creatures on Earth, surviving the centuries, killing rival Kaiju, able to take a nuclear explosion point blank to the face. Yes, being able to live as long as Godzilla 2014 has. Also, killing as many monsters as he has, surviving them. And the atomic bomb, being able to take it to the face and survive it. I know bombs have gotten a lot stronger over the years. Okay, but still, to take a nuclear blast to the face like that, he is pretty much a walking tank. And you're not going to be able to just bring him down with 1 or 2 hits. Okay, this monster is in for the long haul. Okay, so, the ace for Shin Godzilla is evolution. It is believed by the research team in Japan that Shin Godzilla is essentially immortal and always evolving. Some saying that he will actually learn to fly. I hope that does not happen. Okay, Godzilla does not fly. He doesn't grow wings. He doesn't... Alright, he does fly once, okay, but he uses his already pre-established abilities to fly. Okay, let's leave that out of this. No. Now, they get the idea that maybe his tail is going to start glowing purple and he's going to shoot off and go flying around or grow wings. No. Godzilla is on the ground. He's not flying in this fight. That'd be preposterous. So, something is essentially immortal versus something that is also immortal. So, who's going to win? Well, it's time for the fight. Shin Godzilla versus Godzilla 2014. The fight begins 2 years after Shin Godzilla is frozen. He's beginning to thaw. However, out at sea, a large object is approaching Japan, followed by a U.S. ship. The Japanese begin moving their weapons into position to fight both Shin and this large object, as a familiar Dr. Serizawa gets on the intercom and says, "Let them fight. Our Godzilla has been fighting monsters since the dawn of time. Let him kill this monster." And 2014 arrives and begins heading towards Shin as Shin starts to thaw. So Shin begins to move as 2014 approaches and begins charging his atomic energy and goes to fire. But the coagulant is still affecting Shin negatively, so no beam. 2014 charges forward and attacks Shin, biting down on Shin's arm, unable to reach Shin's throat. The two struggle, but 2014 slams Shin to the ground and begins stomping Shin mercilessly. Shin begins to struggle out and rolls with a massive tail strike to 2014, knocking 2014 to the ground. Shin rises to his feet and regains his composure, charging his atomic beam. 2014, sensing the danger, 2014 rolls onto his own side, using his own type of tail swipe, interrupting Shin's attack, knocking Shin to the ground. 2014 rises and gets ready to attack a downed Shin, but Shin fires atomic breath at 2014, knocking him away and down. Shin rises to attack when 2014 uses his own atomic breath to damage Shin. Shin crouches over in pain. 2014 charges at his enemy, ready to attack the head when Shin fires his photon beams from his back, causing massive damage to 2014. 2014 falling back to the ground. Shin approaches his attacker and opens his mouth to fire his atomic beam, finally powered up. All seems at an end. 2014 rolls to his side and fires his own atomic breath once again into Shin's mouth, causing Shin to screech in pain and turn away. Massive damage. 2014 slowly rises to his feet and moves in for the kill, but Shin's tail began to glow. 2014 steps forward to attack, perhaps to use his kiss of death, but Shin's tail began to fire outward wildly, and the beam strikes 2014 in the neck and head. 2014 staggers and falls to the ground. Shin staggers and also falls to the ground. Moments later, Shin rises from the ground and roars in victory and leaves the area. And that is how the fight would go if I was seeing it and the way how everything was shown up. So, why did Shin survive / win this fight with 2014? It all came down to his very, very pesky healing factor. Now, 2014 has the experience on his side. However, if you keep hitting on something that keeps on regenerating, you're going to run out of steam. And we've seen in the film Godzilla 2014 that he has run out of steam during a battle with an equal or multiple opponents. And with the abilities that Shin has and the destructive abilities they have, we've seen in the film the 2014 that 2014 is not impenetrable. He was actually penetrated by several attacks from the Mutos. Now, he did survive a nuke to the face, yes. However, we could clearly see his skin being penetrated by Muto attacks, and the ability and the power that Shin Godzilla's atomic beam has, I feel could cut right into 2014. Not cut him in half, or, really beat right into any vital organs, but a soft spot like the neck where his gills are so he can breathe underwater. It would cause massive, catastrophic damage to 2014, and that's exactly where he hit him. Thus, in the end, I say because of the healing factor and the multiple different abilities that Shin has, he would be able to outlast 2014 and win this fight. Now, is this over completely? Well, no, I left a passage out of the story. About a few hours later, Dr. Serizawa comes to land and he sees a downed 2014 and wonders how this could have happened. How could 2014 have been defeated by pretty much a newborn Godzilla? When all of a sudden he starts to hear a thump and then a rhythmic thump. It's a heartbeat. 2014 stands, roars in defiance, and begins his chase after Shin. Will he catch Shin? Of course he'll catch Shin. The Earth is a very small place for these two colossuses to roam. Now, will there be a rematch? Yes, there will be a rematch. But until the sequels are done, we're going to leave it alone until those are out. Now, if you want to make your own video, that's fine, but in the initial encounter between Shin Godzilla and Legendary Godzilla, I say Shin would survive the fight, but 2014 would live to fight another day. I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me long enough to make it. Thank you very much for being patient, and thank you for everyone who's been promoting this video. I really appreciate this. What's the next fight? I don't know. We shall see. Probably take two villains and have them fight each other. Maybe. Or if you have an idea at the bottom, leave a comment, of your own idea. But till next time, this is Coach 851 saying good night. Thank you very much for watching all the way through. Catch y'all next time. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.